And good stockmanship comes into this whole deal. You know, if you get one cow moving and she pulls that chain, they're all going to go over.
Yeah. The lead cow figures it out, the rest will follow.
Which direction they going?
So they should be heading south here, towards that next pasture. Realistically, I think probably people and stuff made them
Oh, yeah.
a little bit faster that way. The main thing I wanted to point out is, like, it is incentive based again. So when they get that vibration, it's up to them on when they want to move. We're not forcing them to kind of go that way. And it could take 30 minutes, could take an hour. Roy said on a hot day, they might take 12 hours to get into that next pasture. It just kind of depends on what they're doing, what incentive they have. Obviously, if they're laying under a shade tree, they may not want to or love to go out in the sun and go move into the next pasture. But
as they collars keep vibrating the whole time then?
Yeah, as they continue going, so if they turn back this way and then turn back towards the next pasture, they'll get that vibration. So every time they face it, or they look away and then face it again.
12 hours, they'll still get the vibration.
Yep. So they'll just continue kind of looking through that way and be able to move to that next pasture. I'll hand this around for you guys to pass around, but you can see on those cows, they have obviously the collar on top and then that counterweight down below. It's fairly lightweight. I think it's like 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds, but feel free to pass it around and everyone kind of feel it, see what questions you have, and try and give them answers.
These collars on year round, or do you recommend getting them off in the fall? Just the fall for fall.
Ideally, you leave them on. The collar should last 5 to 6 years. And in my mind, I don't want to work my cows more than I have to.
Well, that's what I was getting at.
Yep.
Should be grazing year round anyways.
In a perfect world, yeah. Yeah. And so the main thing is, like, if they're in the pasture, then the collars can stay on year round. If you put them in a barn or something that's covered, then that's a different situation we'll want to work through with you. We'll probably take them off and store them. But if they're on pasture, it'll stay charged up.
Bale grazing.
Bale grazing, exactly. Being able to bale graze. I know I need to pick Roy's brain on it, but I don't know if you want to graze like standing corn or anything like that. That's something they do quite a bit.
The neighbor's corn.
And, yep, anything like
you
that.
Pull them back out during the day so they don't
Right.
see you.
Yeah, exactly. But
Start at the back, work your way to the road.
That's a good selling point. Weatherproof and all that.
Yep.
But when it gets hot, we have ponds around here, deeper ponds.
Yep.
I don't know about anybody else's cows. My cows will go out there and just stand neck deep in water.
Yep.
Is that going to handle that if she goes out there and stands for 2 hours straight in neck deep water?
Yeah, so it's actually pretty cool. I think it was our Q2 kickoff. They took those collars and then just dropped them in basically a fish tank. And so you can see there's like a little flashlight, there's lights on there and stuff, but it stayed on the whole time and it's fully sealed up. So you actually can't open those. One of the guys in New Zealand, his name's Ferguson, he handles all the returns and makes sure and diagnoses any issues. In order to open those, you basically have to break that top off, like with a hammer. So you can't physically open them at all. So they're fully rubber sealed and micro welded.
So what kind of guarantees are on those collars?
It's pretty much a full guarantee unless you cut them off or break them. In concept there, the collar is fairly simple process. The big part of it is actually going to be like the firmware side of things and how we're containing those cows, the algorithms behind it. The collar is just a means to the end. So we'll replace it if anything happens to it. Basically, like if it gets caught in a chute, breaks. If a cow gets caught on a tree, it'll rip through those holes on the side if it needs to. And like you just let us know, we send replacements and you're good to go. The other thing to point out there too is like, all right, let's say a cow rubs up on an old car you got out in the pasture and it rips through the strap. Do I need to collar her right away? No. Realistically, I think we can do like 20% of those cows in the worst case scenario, but we want to make sure every cow's collared so we have the best reliability out there in the pasture.
How easy do they rip? Like, what about roping cows and stuff?
It's 600 pounds of breaking strength basically. So if it gets on there and if you like roped her and it had 600 pounds of force, I don't think that would happen physically with that, but if they got caught on a tree or something, it'd be about that 600 pounds would rip through, and then just falls off. You see its location, you go out, find it, send us a photo. New collars are in the way. Next time you round them up, put them on.
I would imagine head gates are kind of tough on them going through the chute.
I mean, there's increased likelihood, but of like issues, but realistically, they're going through those all the time. Like we have universities using them, running them through weekly. I mean, Ross.
I would say to the point of the head gate, they set high enough up
Yeah.
that the actual collar goes through a head gate without any issue. Now you might catch a strap potentially, but
Yeah, and like those solar panels on there would personally be my biggest concern from a producer standpoint. But in there's I think it's a like 1/4-inch glass and then a 1/4-inch polycarbonate, glass filled polycarb. So it's extremely durable. And like for our tests that we do, we have the interns basically throw a bunch in concrete mixers, rocks, and then they crank away for basically a week or more. So they get beat up through testing process, and like they're meant to be on cows for 5 to 6 years. So if they can't go through a gate more than twice, then that's an issue. Plus we'd have to replace them every time, which from a business standpoint is a pretty poor model.
Yeah. I might address too, Jack, the question about the pond.
Yeah.
You know, my goal is to keep cows completely out of the pond when I get my water development. But the cows that I have seen in the ponds now, even if they're getting in their neck deep, them collars are still above the water. I mean, it sits really high on their head. Their nose would be underwater before the collar.
Took you 7 minutes.
I can't, yeah, I think we maybe,
I got a timer on it. It's 7 minutes.
like to say we did it's all halter and whatnot. The people maybe push them a little bit over there, but it just like that timing and how long it's going to take to move over to that next pasture. Again, it's forage based, it's incentive based, and if they have incentive, then they'll move faster. If they don't, then they won't move as quickly. Yeah.
And that's part of the training piece, is you're training yourself as well. I have learned that to move cows, you're going to shift them when they're naturally moving. Watch your cows, and that's evening, morning, those kind of things. That's when I drop my brakes. And the cows that I've had collars on 2 weeks now, they're doing it. They're doing it. If I'm trying to force them in the middle of the day or force them into a place where they don't want to go there, it could take 12 hours.
Yeah. Or they could not go there, right?
Or they might not.
Like,
You're better to have a schedule and they get used to it anyways.
Yeah.
If you're moving on polywire, they move a lot better if you do it the same time every day or same time twice a day, or you start moving every 5-6 times a day. They walk to the fence as soon as you show up. So
Exactly. Yeah, so I think it all goes back to scheduling, incentive, making sure those cows understand the system, and kind of like I said before, cows need to be confident and competent. They need to understand the system, which they're closer. Some of the cows will play with the system a little bit because they understand it, which is really cool. I don't know if you've seen that at all, Russ, but they'll kind of play with it. Originally we had like cows moonwalking out of pastures. Luckily we solved that, because when they face back into the pasture, they don't get a zap right if they're walking back into it. So they would just face the pasture and back out.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, a little Michael Jackson action. But that's kind of one of the key things, that the cows understand it. It's not like they're just scared of it. They know what's going on.
Good morning, Roy.
Roy, it's back over. You might not be able to see it, but
The tower?
the water.
Oh, you can't see it. It's over there. I don't know. We're talking about maybe trying to get to that tower going in down by the hog barn down there.
Okay.
So we'll probably go up here and do a loop in this driveway, come back out and go back down and around.
Okay.
It'll take us a little time to open a few gates because we didn't planning on it raining last night, but we'll just
How
have
many
pop
towers
out
do you have, Roy?
2. Originally they told me 1, but
Yeah.
I don't know the reason why that got changed. But
Yeah.
So if a guy has a tower higher, can you eliminate towers if it can see?
Yeah, we can't put it on like a grain bin or a water tower or anything like that. We want it to sit on that 8-inch post. Main reason being, like, if you put it up higher, you're gonna have higher winds, you're gonna have higher forces, likelihood increases. That's not what it's designed for.
I
But
guess
if it's
in
on that
realistic
post.
terms, contours, I mean, I understand some places down, you get further south, you got bigger hills,
Yep.
whatever. But give or take, on average, how far will one tower cover?
It's super variable. So I'll say again, if you have like say like flat ground, desert, no trees, then I would say we might be looking at like 2 to 3 miles. So with any terrain, it kind of changes there. But that's something where, like, engineers take a look at it. They know. I've had 2,000 acre places with like 6 towers. I've had 12,000 acre places with 1 to 2. So very variable is kind of the basics of it, and that's where it really comes down to the engineers taking a peek at it and seeing what it's going to take to cover it.
How much does a tower cost?
So those will be about 4,500 a piece. So that's kind of what it'll look like out there. And then callers go on like an annual kind of fee for everything. But that's something, if you want to talk about that, we can kind of talk through individually on it per ranch.
So you don't buy the collars, you kind of lease them from the company, or how's that work?
Yep, you'll own them still. They'll be like $0. We give them to you because if you stop paying the system, then they will obviously shut it off for you. And they'll be worth $0, but that'll be an annual kind of fee. And that just kind of keeps that warranty up. And that way, if a new tech comes out, you get it. If collars break, you get them. You just never have to worry about any of those aspects out there. It depends on the operation, but if we want to have like further conversations, we can kind of hop on call and walk through it. Yep.
How are you supposed to